hitting the button. The button is hit.
So it shall be written.
Is hit.
So it shall be done.
Look at Phil in his hood tat shirt.
I know. This is the prototype that should be on the website, and it's not. It needs some tweaking, but it will be soon enough. This is just a teaser taste for anyone who wants to stare at my chest. Snakes and Stogies. It's Monday night.
Sorry, we absolutely.
The price is right.
Have to wait until I hit record.
Don't be rude. You didn't say anything to anybody. You just walked out.
I was literally just going to say how adorable it is that his family says goodnight to him before the show. I think that's wonderful and special. Almost as special as this Venom Exchange Radio hood tat shirt. Yes.
Episode 207. It's Monday. This episode is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. BlackBox. Use the code THN at checkout. Get 10% off your order. If you're in the general southeast area, there's a pickup option so you can save even more and just ride on up to BlackBox's headquarters and pick up your stuff and not have to deal with shipping and freight and things like that. So Phil want to come to Vietnam with me. I thought we were going to Vietnam.
Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that. Jesus, I got to pay more attention. I would love to go to Vietnam. We should all go to they're sending me to Vietnam. It's a curveball. I don't know how to answer that this quickly. But yes, BlackBoxCages.com. Joe, where's your Fulvius apparel?
He's
there. It is.
I'm wearing it.
He's wearing it. Good boy. Segway.
That's right. FulviusApparel.com. The 4th of July is coming up here soon. Planning to do a 4th of July sale of sorts because it's America's birthday. Reminiscing over the time we blew up them T-boats. Had us a tea party with some tannerite.
If only we had it back then, right?
Oh, man. I feel like gunpowder is a little bit better. Just as effective.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Why bother mixing it with styrofoam?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. So celebrating America's birthday, FulviusApparel.com. Also follow it /me/us, even though it's just me on Instagram and Facebook at Fulvius Apparel. And then the best coffee money can buy. That is the cold-blooded caffeine Snakes and Stogies blend right here. Get the
goods.
The goods.
I actually just had family over for Father's Day, and I busted open a bag. I honestly feel like the boys at Cold Blooded Caffeine are going to yell at me for this, but I forgot I had a partially open bag of Cloud Forest, and I got to be honest, it was way older than it should have been, but it was stupendous. The bag sealed it perfectly. Yeah. It was still fresh. So I ripped the whole top of the bag open and poured it into an airtight thing just in case. And yeah, man, delicious and nutritious.
Nest blend is good.
Thanks, Matthew.
Other than that, check all of them out. Link down below for Cold-Blooded Caffeine. Get the Snakes and Stogies blend or one of the many other offerings they have. You will not be disappointed. I can only assume that they're going to be doing some sort of 4th of July thing as well. So if you stay up to date on the day-to-day Cold-Blooded Caffeine on Instagram and Facebook as well. So stay in that loop.
In the know.
That's right. That's right. What are you smoking this evening?
Well, there is storm clouds on the horizon. So I didn't want to go do anything too crazy that I'd have to abandon ship. So we went with the LFD Lennox.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I
you
know.
bastard. You bastard.
It's perfect. It's
such a good cigar.
It's so soft and oily and just ready to be enjoyed. Yes.
It reminds me of like Milky Way Midnight. So the dark chocolate Milky Way is like if there was a cigar that was just ridiculously rich and just voluptuous.
Yes, it's the
flavor.
It is the post-meal libation of cigars. It is.
It's like a really heavy chocolate cake or something. I don't know how to describe it. But we're LFD buddies because I'm doing a Colorado Oscuro.
Nice. I literally had that.
One of my personal favorites.
Gonna do it, and that's good, man. That's
Colorado. I saw them on the shelf because they're sort of a seasonal release for LFD.
Yeah, and
I've been smoking a lot of them.
So. Nice. And that's the like the 60 gauge Corona.
It's probably a 5.5 by 60, maybe. I don't.
Okay, but they
come in a couple different sizes. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Very good. This is the cigar that made me really fall in love with Colorado wrappers because you don't see a ton of them really as much as I think you used to, but it's good.
It's good. It's good.
What was your final thoughts on the H99?
I thought I know we never touched base on it. I thought that it was spicier than a number 9, but not as rich and inviting as a T52, if that makes sense. I feel like it really was a happy medium between the two. It wouldn't shock me if it was a mutt of both of them. You know, maybe just like the extra clippings from both that they kind of shoved into a wrapper, if you will. I don't think I'd go out of my way for it, especially since I'm a number 9 guy. But if it was that or several other non-Drew cigars, Drew Estate cigars, I would definitely pick that. But I'll stick to number 9.
Kind of where I was at with it. You know, it's not bad at all. It's a good cigar.
No, it was good. It was good
when you're in like your team number 9 or team T52.
Yeah,
it's really hard to. Like when you're comparing it to those, that's a pretty high bar, you know. So,
but I will say the guy that I got it from got some flying pigs in, so I'm probably gonna have to go back this week. And,
in what T52s?
No, the
ferals.
No, what's the little tiny little guy?
It's the flying pigs. They have the feral flying pig, which is in the Unico series, and then they've got the other blends in that size.
Okay, so then it's probably a 52. Just going off of memory, because it definitely wasn't the Unica. It 100% was not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that flying pig and a handful of their other blends. They've done it in the underground stuff and whatnot. And honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of it, but that's just me. It's the nub thing. Like they're great for the first half, and then they just start getting super hot, and it's like you kind of lose some of the enjoyment because it's hot.
Well, you gotta pace yourself with your cup of coffee and your cold-blooded caffeine. Yeah.
What's new?
Harry got a number 9, so there you go.
Harry does got some number 9s.
Yeah, if the baby ever passes out, he says. I'm sure she will.
Share it with the baby.
Yeah, just give a little, News on my front, BlackBox cages are in place. Tetris has been accomplished. Wired up the LEDs. They look great. Dude, BlackBox does such a good job of hiding the LEDs inside the enclosure. And something that I want to bring up that I think I brought it up before the last time I got cages from them is that the seam of their enclosures, and like obviously they're our sponsor and we love to toot their horn, but at the same time, dude, the craftsmanship is just awesome. And like running your hand along the seam of the PVC, like it's completely smooth. It doesn't look like someone just went in with a caulking gun and just went like that's just not the case. It's hand smooth, flawlessly even strips of weather of aquarium sealant, but the lights are recessed just perfect that they are completely not seen. They cast a beautiful just
bright as hell.
What's that?
You said they're bright as hell.
Yeah, well, and I got dimmers, so like, I got the little dimmer switch thing, so I just dim them down a little bit because I do feel bad. I stuck my head in there just to kind of see what it's like from the snake's point of view, and they are staring at the sun. Yeah, so they're all there. They're all set up, and I have my photo backgrounds that I'm so addicted to. I got an Everglades one of my car in the swamp that I wanted to do with some pygmies, and then I got one that's like inside a cypress head with like the cypress knot roots coming out of the water, and I was going to do that for my one cottonmouth. I got one pet cottonmouth, and but the problem is they're such nice cages. It's so hard for me to. We were just talking about this before the show started. It's so hard for me to decide what critter to put in them. Oh, and I took one of the landscape shots that you and I took in West Texas of a rock cut on that same strip of road where we found that squash suboc.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be for my big male, or excuse me, my big female, soon-to-be breeder silver suboc. So that's
nice.
definitely that she's definitely going in there. That was specifically for her. But now I'm like, man, do I want to put those Florida snakes in there? Do I want to do something different? They're just such nice cages. Anyway, I digress. But I had something crazy happen. One of my Cerastes died. And I thought it was so bizarre. And I really feel like it's one of those cases where you get a wild caught animal, regardless of size, you have no idea how old it is, you know? And I got that animal July of 2021. And from what I gather, I found regurg in the sand that was all caked up in sand, but it was mostly digested. And then I just found the dead snake, and there was no signs of nothing. And I take care of it exactly the same way as I take care of all the other Cerastes. So I still have good ratios. I still have juveniles I'm growing up, but it was an adult specimen. It was a breedable specimen for a male, but it could have grown a lot bigger. So I just don't know.
You don't know how old it was?
Oh, no idea. It was probably 10 inches when I got it. And now
it's not like an import, like an adult that could have just been.
Oh no, it's an import adult for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. They're not that long a snake. I mean, maybe 12 inches when I got it, and then now it's probably 18 or 20 inches now. So it's an adult male. Yeah. I mean, it could be bigger. You know, they get way bigger than that, but I've seen ones breed that size. It's just bizarre, man. It's just one of those bizarre flukes. So
yeah,
you never know. It sucks.
Yeah. Those are always the worst type of surprises.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was just maybe it was dehydrated because I don't give them water often, and the prey item was maybe a little bit too large, and regurgitating it may have taken what little moisture it had on reserve and just used it up and expelled it. You know, I'm thinking that may have been the culprit. Because I give them water like every 3 or 4 months, something like that.
All right.
Yeah. So
sometimes I wonder if it's a bigger meal, just the actual physical trauma that gets done to the body when it regurgitates something large like that.
Yeah.
That plays a factor in it, even if it's something that doesn't happen immediately after, but causes some sort of open wound or something, and you get some sort of infection as a result. You wouldn't know about it. You wouldn't see that happening. You wouldn't see sepsis sort of setting in or anything like that. So
right. I also, you never know what happens internally. Like, for example, the mouse could have had there could have been a rib that stabbed the snake on the inside and caused some kind of internal bleeding or something. Who knows? That could have happened on the way out. It could have perforated its esophagus or something on bone or fingernails, claw nails of the mouse. I mean, who knows? So, by the time we find it, it's almost not worth, the necropsy. It just depends on the species, depends on the size. I mean, this was unexpected, but I don't think it's good that it passed away. I'm very saddened by that, despite my current, reaction. But I like sharing this to let people know that they're not alone and that it does happen, and we do everything in our power to not have it happen. But sometimes you just never know. I mean, that snake could have been 10 years old for all I know.
Yeah.
Who
knows?
What about you?
First clutch of corns is due to hatch probably within the next week and a half.
Nice.
So
Good.
that'll be cool. Interested to see what comes out of that. That's that coral ghost Aztec female to the Anery Motley male with. I have zero background information on him, so I have no idea what heads he has. I just know what he is from looking at him. And then I got some mice over the weekend, so I lost my group of mice a couple months. It's been a couple months, couple weeks. I didn't save litters and rotate stuff out like I should have, and didn't sort of plan accordingly. I just kept feeding stuff off like when I'd get pinkies and whatnot. So
they died of old age, basically.
Yeah. They got to the point where they hadn't reproduced in a long time, and they were clearly getting kind of old. So I just went ahead and called them. And but I was out on the other side of town with the wife. We're doing some shopping Saturday, and there's a Petco on that side of town, and so I dropped her off to go shop somewhere or something, and I ran to Petco and Best Buy, and didn't realize Petco sells live white mice. So I was like,
really, as feeders? Or
I mean, yeah, they have a little thing on the bottom of the cage that says why frozen's better. So I'm assuming they'll sell them as feeders. They're just going to tell you that it's probably easier and less of a pain to just get frozen. But at first, I saw it and I was like, these all look like females. Like there's no males in here. And I was like, so they must not sell males. So I look right underneath. Of course, the next tank down is all males. So they've got one tank of males. And so we were planning to like go to Sam's or something and get some stuff, like do some grocery shopping. And so I called her up and I was like, hey, there's some mice here. What else? Like, what do we need from Sam's? Like, are we going to be there for a while? Because if we're not, then I'm going to go ahead and get these.
Yeah.
And then so that way we can just go straight home. And there's a Dollar Tree right next door to that Petco. So I ran over there, got some shoe boxes, came back, bought a bag of bedding. And then we ran to Sam's, came back. I got the mice. I got 3 males and 9 females.
Nice.
At $6.50 a piece. It was like $83 for mice.
Wow. Wow.
So I was like,
wow. You don't have a live rodent supply by you?
There's someone upstate that does it, and they travel throughout the state to deliver. But last time I talked to them, which was probably about a month ago, because I had talked to him about getting like a large group of mice and basically saying like, look, I breed mice. I really just breed for myself. I don't really sell, so I'm not trying to like poach customers or anything like that. And they were like, well, we're trying to build our group back up, so we don't have any at the moment. So I saw these, and I'm making sure that I don't have any issues with them, and that they're constantly have water, constantly have food, and that there's no fighting or anything like that, or eating babies and things like that. So it's a small group, but it's nice to know now though that if I ever need more, I just have to drive 45 minutes south and I can get them. Because I even asked the guy when I was checking out for the bedding, I wasn't even getting the mice yet. I was like, do you guys have a limit on how many of those you can buy? He's like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, because I need like 9 girls and 3 males. He was like, that shouldn't be a problem. Because I was waiting for it to be like PetSmart, where they're like, if you're feeding it, we're not going to sell to you.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think PetSmart even carries white mice anymore. I think it's all just god-awful gerbils and hamsters.
Yeah.
So it's convenient. It's nice. It is a bit of a drive, but if I'm in a pinch or just want to add to the group periodically, they're there. And
it's
expensive
amazing.
And it's painful, but it's worth it.
It's amazing to me how, because Joe and I live like 15 minutes apart now, and it's like I would never pay, like, you know what I'm saying, Joe? Like, that's wild.
Yeah, no way.
Wild. And we're just so spoiled with the amount of live rodents we have.
Well, you see, if you think about it in the context of what would $83 get me in frozen rodents with shipping and all, it's really not that much better. And I figure with this, at least I can raise up the next handful of litters, grow those out, refill my. I have 2 racks that are sized for mice, and I can refill all those again. Get those back up and running. So the rats, those have been like, rats are so easy. Like, I don't worry about the rats as much. Like mice, it's just they start getting a little nutty, and
Yeah.
then you start losing them. But rats, like the rats are nice because you just don't have to worry about them as much. But their pinkies are also big, so
That's true.
when I need little pinkies, and I don't need a lot. Like that's the frustrating part is like I don't have a ton of stuff that's still eating pinkies. And so it was like, well, I can order, like bite the bullet and order in bulk, but I really only have a handful. So it was a point where I was just buying pinkies from PetSmart for, $30 for a bag of 20, which was painful, but it's
Yeah.
like, I still like, I'm just trying to get them up to the point to where I can get them onto rat pinkies, and then we're good,
Yeah.
So
No,
just
I'm with
suck
you,
it
man.
up and take the pain.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
do it. And then other than that, FedEx was supposed to pick up a box today because it sold a rhino rat, and they just never showed up. So that was nice.
Damn.
So I had to message the buyer and be like, yeah, so FedEx just decided not to come. I called Reptiles Express, and that was at like 4 o'clock because I made the pickup window from like 2 to 4. And 4 o'clock hit, and so I called Reptiles Express. I was like, is there anything I'm missing? Because sometimes if you create a label and you go on there, it'll give you like an error message or something if you schedule pickup too early. Like if I was going to schedule something for Monday, I couldn't schedule it on like a Friday.
Right.
And so I double checked the label and it said there wasn't. And then she looked and she said, no, I'm not seeing anything that would say that there's any issues either. So she's like, maybe they're just running late. So 5 o'clock came and went, and I hung out in the parking lot at work for a little bit. And they still never came. So finally I was like, I'll just call Reptiles Express tomorrow and reschedule it. So
Yeah.
that's really frustrating.
Well, I know FedEx is going through a huge dynamic shift right now where they're basically, and please someone correct me because I know I'm probably saying this wrong, but I guess they're getting rid of the concept of express and ground, and it's going to go solely to, they don't want employees. Everyone's going to be contractors now, from what I gather. And there's going to be no more like air. It's just like, it is what it is kind of thing. So something to that extent.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah. And I know there were some reptile people kind of freaking out about it about 6 to 9 months ago when news broke out, but I haven't really
I
heard
remember
anything.
hearing talks of
Yeah.
UPS buying FedEx, and then
I don't remember that.
merging into one big thing.
Yeah.
But that was at least a year ago.
So I have FedEx drop off. I have express drop off and ground drop off daily at my work. And then I have express and ground pickup daily at my work. And it's usually 3 or 4 different dudes doing each one. And they're all complaining about it. They're like, I don't know what's going to happen. They want me to do this. They want me to quit so that I can get rehired. And then I'm a slave to their hours and slave to their routes, and they're cutting routes, and they're not happy right at the moment. So it wouldn't shock me if more issues of this arise.
Well, I mean, worst case, this buyer's sort of outside of Atlanta, so I guess if push came to shove and I had to jet up there,
meet halfway or whatever.
No problem doing that, but
yeah.
Message him basically was like, I got to reschedule it for tomorrow, and then it's basically just hope that they don't freak out and think you're trying to scam them, and so. Just because the current landscape of buying and selling, be it Morph Market or any other platform, I think people are a little squirrely. So,
yeah, for sure.
Other than that, the rhino eggs are looking really good. I think those are due to hatch like the first week of August. The pied blood red clutch that I had, so I had a pretty strong hunch that most of the eggs in that clutch were bad, and it looks like that's the case because I have one good one out of the 7 or 8 that got laid, so that sucks.
Yeah, that was her first time going, right?
No, so Chris bred her when he had her. I got a clutch out of her last year and she did fine. I'm starting to wonder if it's that male because no, I didn't pair her last year. I didn't. He got paired last year, and he did fine. Like produced great, good clutch. But I paired him again with another pied, with another blood red female, and I don't know. I'm wondering if there's some sort of weird infertility thing or something. with him when you pair him back to a pied blood red or something. It's I don't know. I can't figure it out. But yeah, and then it's just continuing to plan for Daytona for the Fulvius table. So
excellent. Well,
a bit overwhelming.
Oh, I can imagine, man. It's in the swing of things, and school's out, and everyone's tight on cash, and everyone's sweaty and grumpy, and oh, I know it. But on a lighter note, we have a guest tonight that we really didn't introduce. We've talked, but like on air, but we didn't really introduce. Smitty, you want to take it away?
It's Boca Joe.
It's Boca Joe.
Is that my nickname?
That's what we call you.
That's what we call you. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Joes, and
it's true.
Meteoric's long, It's Boca Joe.
Boca Joe.
Oh, that's cool. What's up, guys?
Boca Joe DeStefano.
It just rolls off the tongue, man.
It does just roll off the tongue.
It does.
We figured we hadn't talked to you like this in a while, and we know you're in here every Monday night as it is, so we figured we'd have you come on and let us know about your projects this season and how your podcast is doing. And I guess you want to give us a little synopsis of
your updates
and Meteoric before we dive into all the juicy details.
Yeah, sure. So for those who don't know me, I'm Joe from Meteoric Serpents. But yeah, I was on here a few months ago with Smitty and Jake. That was fun. But this season, what's going on? I just hatched some Texas rats. The Texas rats are kind of like one of my staple species.
That's your favorite,
it's my
right?
thing. It's my favorite. That's what got me into the hobby. So I always say I'll keep them forever. I'll breed them forever. So that's kind of my thing. I had a clutch hatch there. I have some more eggs incubating right now.
And you're doing localities and morphs?
I don't have any localities actually, so I'm working mostly just morphs.
All right.
A lot of hets, some visuals on some stuff, so just creating cool stuff. But I really enjoy the line breeding with them because they are just super, super variable. Literally every animal you hatch, and you really have to let them develop and change some color a bit, because once you see what they do, some of these animals just turn into some stunners. I have a couple older triple het girls that have a color palette that you just don't see anywhere. Some scaleless animals I have that I dare say at a year old are some of the best I've seen, and they're only a year old. So, it's really cool. I enjoy working with them, and I think they need some more love. They make great first pets. So, I try to spread the good word of Texas rat snakes. But
it's a tough one because they've always had a
bad rap
about them, kind of like chondros and some other stuff. They've just always had a bad taste in people's mouths.
And I don't get it because my animals do not bite me, and I swear by that. Like, I really, really don't get bit by my adult Texas rats. You'll get bit by babies, sure. Once they hit about a year old, they really calm down, like a lot. Especially if you're handling them pretty regularly.
Yeah, I feel like it's very similar to like Everglades and some of the southern locality yellows. I feel like they got a bad rap because just like the Texas, when you find one in the wild, it's pissed off and defensive. It's this big giant hairless thing's trying to kill it. And
see, that hasn't been the experience with the yellows around here. Like when me and Jake come across some, they're usually pretty mellow.
Oh, dude,
like the big ones, like the monsters, like they're not scared of anything, dude. They don't
really
care. Like, whatever.
Dude, down here, yellows will eat you. Yeah. But like my Everglades that I've got from Kasicki, dude, they are sweet as pie, man. So I'm with you on that.
I feel like, and also I feel like anyone who only has like a pair of Texas rats will say they're straight up assholes. Just one, they're an asshole. But everyone I know who has a large group totally agrees that like they calm down a lot and they just don't bite. So I don't know. I feel
that's how it's been with the green trees too. Like the imported stuff is always going to be a little more
right.
nervous and bitey and stuff. And then I have other animals that are my whole back captive bred Biak that I produced, however many years ago, like completely handleable. Like that snake's never taken a swing at me. Like its dad, huge dick. Mom, she was pretty cool. But yeah, it's the same thing. A lot of people are like, are they mean? It's like, it's the initial thing of Morelia where, you open the cage and you're going to have a mouth coming at you because it's just their reflex. But once they're out, I mean, all of mine are completely mellow,
Yeah.
So I think it's just you have to have that sort of spectrum of individuals and stuff to get the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's cool. So how many clutches you got this season?
2.
All right.
Yeah. Just 2. Nothing crazy. The girl that bred for me last year had a real wonky clutch. Yeah, a couple of the eggs didn't make it and 2 more going bad in there, unfortunately. So I might give her the whole year off last year. I mean, she's a big girl. What is she, like 6 years old now? She only bred once last year, but maybe because she threw a double clutch for me last year without pairing her twice. So she threw 10 slugs and 1 good egg on the double clutch.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
that really roughed her up going into this year, though I thought she had good size, but perhaps not. So clutch was kind of wonky, and yeah, definitely fed her real slow because I didn't want her double clutching on me again.
Yeah.
Because that might have been a death sentence, literally. I probably would be worried if she was gravid again.
It's definitely a surprise of sorts when you're not planning for it, and then you're like, "Wait a second, you're gravid again!" Like,
yeah,
damn it.
Yep.
That's what happened to me last year, dude.
Yeah. And then I got in a 1.2 proven group of coxeye, the bamboo rat snakes.
Oh, yeah.
From Matt Most, and one of those girls laid for me.
Oh,
Now
wow.
the thing is, I don't know. So I got an inside scoop from my buddy Kevin Sheehan, and he said he saw the group at Matt's house, and he said that they were together and breeding. So I don't know if Matt pairing them before I got this girl gravid, or if I did when I got them. That said, it looks like I'm probably down to 1 good egg out of 5, which is very disappointing. But
Damn.
I can hopefully attribute that to the fact that she traveled and all that, because the fact that 1 egg's still good, like they all came out looking good, and I thought they were all fertile, and then they started going like 1 by 1. And I was like, this really sucks. I'm like, I know I'm not doing anything wrong here. I'm like, following all standard procedure. So I think that's the case. Hopefully, because now I have a 1.3 of adults in total. So hopefully I get a couple other clutches this year. That would be nice, and I could really try my hand at it.
Well, did you ask Matt?
I didn't ask because apparently I wasn't supposed to know. So I think Matt might have done it to oh, here you go. I'll give you some gravid girls.
Yeah, he threw you a bone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But
I would.
Every time
I'd
I've paired that male, he locks in
Nice.
like 10 seconds. He's a
Designated
savage.
hitter.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. Good things there. Hopefully expecting a lot from that. I really like that species, so hope I get some success. Hopefully this 1 egg goes full term. It's still looking good, like I said. So
How are you incubating those?
Same thing, just room temp in perlite, the same kind of standard
Gotcha.
as I'm doing with the other stuff. Yeah.
Bookshelving it.
Yep.
Love
That's
it.
how I do the Texas too. Yeah. Same thing. It's nice and warm in here. So, well, not like warm, but warm enough for incubation.
It's good, man. It's good.
Yeah. Then I have a couple female ball pythons that should be laying like any day now.
Okay.
Literally probably counting down. So yeah, there's that. And otherwise,
what are they?
They're just a couple double het females. I'm working this one project of hypo puzzle, 2 recessive genes. It's pretty cool. I recently decided that I was going to sell off my ball python collection minus the hypo puzzle project. So,
Okay.
have already like sold a couple females on payment plans and whatever, but just with a lot of stuff going on and the way I want to direct my collection, I kind of made that decision that I'd rather be a little more slim on that
Yeah.
species, have a little more fun with the colubrid stuff, because I just am in all
Yeah, man.
reality.
Yeah, for sure.
What
And-
are you gonna expand upon as a result?
There you go.
I don't know. There's a lot of factors of life going on right now that I don't even know if I want to buy anything until I let kind of the dust settle.
Stop
For
being
some
so
time.
responsible.
Yeah, I know. I'm going ahead and taking a logical.
Oh, my
plan
name's
of attack
Joe, and I'm a
stuff.
responsible grown-up. Meh.
What a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I've told, I mean, Smitty knows I'm inevitably moving back to New York at some point, probably early next year.
Okay.
So
Split the
That
difference. Move to South Carolina.
that move is daunting in my head, just with the collection and trying to rent.
I'm definitely going to
So
ask
I'm-
you why off air later.
Yeah,
Are we talking about like New York proper, like New York City proper, like New York?
no, Long Island.
Okay.
So like nearby. I grew up in New York
That's still
City,
I
but
thought that was still considered New York City, is it not? I don't know.
no.
Into Jersey
so,
once, I'm never going back. So
Okay.
it's
No,
these-
so it's like you have New York City, which is made up of the 5 boroughs. So you have Manhattan, obviously. That's where, that's New York.
I remember
You
that
have
from Gangs of New York.
Yep. You have the Bronx, you have Brooklyn, you have Queens, and you have the forgotten borough, Staten Island, that no one cares about. Then, to the east of that, so you have Manhattan on its own island, and then you
Right.
cross a bridge east to get to Brooklyn, and then you go a little more east of that, you get to Queens, and then you go all the way through Queens, and then you hit Nassau County, which is Long Island.
Gotcha.
But it's all in the same landmass. So I don't know. It's confusing to non-New Yorkers.
I just know we get a lot of people that don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, same here. And that's what brings my family here to Boca.
Boca transplants.
Yep, that's what they do.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know. I went to Jersey once when I was a kid because my sister was in marching band and she had some competition to go to, and I thought my dad was gonna have a freaking stroke with the traffic and stuff. I've never seen my dad that worked up. Like,
Yeah.
it was like this is. And we were. I think we were close to the Giants stadium.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
straight
we're
up
like,
Newark.
oh yeah, New York's right there. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, man. Newark and Jersey City. Ugh. No offense, Dan Colgan.
The
But,
scaleless stuff though, I at some point am fully expecting to hatch something because some stuff I got was het scaleless that I didn't know was het scaleless.
Okay.
And I don't know that I'll be that upset about it. Like, I'm not into the scaleless thing. It really doesn't. It's never really appealed to me. I've never actually held one. But if I hatched one, I'd probably end up holding on to it just for the fun
'cause.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
No,
that's
they're
going to
cool.
continue to be on the trend it is in terms of popularity and stuff? Because it doesn't seem like it's really slowing down.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, because when we're talking about corns and Texas rats and whatnot, like there's no detriment of the scaleless gene. So obviously, if it was causing like a harmful deformity, then yeah, like, it would be, X'd out like some
Yeah,
other genes have that cause those problems. But because they do so well, I mean, I've raised plenty of scaleless animals now. I think they'll continue being popular, and that's part of what I'm working on is just creating some of the best scaleless animals I can, because like I said, some of these are just smoke shows that I produced last year. So really excited to keep working kind of the line breeding on that, both for color and pattern and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what excites me. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's totally fine, but I think people will still like them.
It's hard to deny that they're not gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm
Some of
not
the
a big
aneries,
fan.
especially like anery
Yeah.
corns, scaleless anery corns, for whatever
Sure.
reason, man. Like I like the contrast on those. You know, it's just,
Yeah,
So I am biased, but the scaleless anery Texas rats go harder than the corns.
really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's whatever it is. For some reason, the anery seems to throw some cool patterns in there as well. We've tended to notice even heterozygous forms of the genes definitely seem to play a role in Texas rats. Like I mentioned, like some of these triple hets are just crazy looking. So it's honestly really interesting how it works in the Texas rats, because I feel like you don't get this interaction of genes and some of the colors that get brought out in other species the way it does in the Texas. That's why I like them so much, and it's so experimental because you really never know what you're gonna get.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those do look good.
Kevin just posted, or actually he sent me a picture. I could send it to you if you want to pull out. He just hatched a bunch of babies. Give him props. Yeah, I mean they're cool looking.
Do you have a lot of people
definitely-
asking you for scaleless specifically? Like people come to you saying, "Hey, I'm looking for scaleless."
Not necessarily, just because I haven't hatched like a ton of them, but I've definitely gained some traction both at the couple reptile shows I've vended as well as social media. I post a lot in a Texas Rat Facebook group, so people are starting to know my name. For people who care about the species at the very least. So
Yeah.
I think that helps. I'm very much all about just self-promotion and blasting all my shit wherever I can, honestly. Because
Yeah,
I think the more eyes it brings.
You and I have talked about the whole social media thing and how frustrating it can be to get stuff out there, especially when they keep making it more and more about ads and pay to win kind of thing. So.
Side note, Robert, I don't hate Jersey City. I was just breaking onions, so forgive me. Yeah, I think that scaleless is gorgeous, man. It really is. And I know so many people love it because of what you were saying. You just have no idea what you're going to get. My only concern was just the fact that we've, dare I say, inbred things so much that it's literally born without skin, you know? And I get worried that it's going to. No, you know what I mean, though. Like, I get worried that it's gonna implode on itself. You know what I mean?
In what way?
In the way of we've pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and it's just gonna. I don't know. I foresee a lot of health issues from
like the detrimental stuff is gonna start.
It's gonna start to rear its ugly head, and. I'm not saying that's going to be all the animals. I'm not. I'm sure there's going to be, a good amount of people like Joe that's going to have some kind of genetic diversity, but you're also going to have a ton of people that just breed mom back to her like 18th son, and it's just going to keep making it bad.
No, for sure. You definitely have a point there, and I definitely believe in outcrossing, so I know that's going to be kind of imperative with what I'm doing. I will say, I mean, full honesty, the pair I held back from that clutch last year, I am going to breed them together. Their parents were completely unrelated, to my knowledge. So, I mean, just one generation. I don't think so either, but they were way too cool to not try to
Yeah.
again like line breed and enhance what's going on there.
Well, I mean, well, I'm
but then
talking
definitely
like 15 to 20 generations.
Yeah, like year after year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not
I
talking
gotcha.
about that. I mean, we know that reptile genetics, it takes a long time for them to mess something up. And it was always brought to my attention that the rule of thumb is like 7 to 9. Like 7 to 9 direct generations, and you will start to see something funky in a not good way.
I'm surprised
So,
it takes that long.
Yeah. But you have like, dare I
It
say,
depends on
ball,
the species too.
yeah, you have ball python breeders where it's like 32 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're still good. They're just pumping out weirder shit. So
Yeah.
my whole thing is, especially with the Texas stuff, I know that there was, and forgive me if I'm mistaken, but there were scaleless found out of leucistics, right?
No.
Or was it totally different?
What I learned, and I learned this recently. I was under the impression of another story. What I learned recently was that, and I forget which zoo it was, at a zoo here in the U.S. Whatever, one of the doctors there had 2 wild caughts, bred them, and out popped a scaleless.
Okay.
So he had wild caughts that were het,
Okay.
which means it came from the wild.
Yeah.
I thought originally for a very long time that, and I was told this, that someone found a scaleless in the wild,
Okay.
which I learned not to be true. So this happened in a zoo from wild caught animals. So it's a quote unquote like naturally occurring thing if
Sure.
they had the genetics there. Where scaleless comes from in the other species, I know is a gigantic debate in the other, obsoleta group. So who knows? But the origin of scaleless Texas is actually legit.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I figure by this point, you've had enough people outcrossing that the original pairing, so to speak, is long gone,
Yeah, and it's been around for a very long time. Like you'd actually be surprised. Like I feel like just with the way social media is now compared to back then, like you obviously just didn't see it as much back then, but it's been around that morph for a very long time. Because the first snake I ever got in 2011 was a 2010 baby and proved out het scaleless many years later.
Oh, wow.
So we're talking about an animal from 2010 that came from who the hell knows.
Yeah.
That
Do
I
you
got
know
at
when
a
that
pet
first
store.
one? Do you know when that first one was hatched at the zoo?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
What are the freaking odds though that you'd put 2 wild caught animals together like that and get just the fact that though you managed to get those 2 animals and you were able to get them to cross paths?
Well, that's how they got the scaleless patternless puff adder.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about scaleless in general that I feel like Doc Wyman's explained it to me about 1,000,000 times, and I still just don't get it. Like the fact that it pops up all over the world in different species on what seems like a fairly regular basis now, maybe because of the internet, but seeing the scaleless Indian spectacleds, diamondbacks, puff adders, false water cobras, like bearded dragons, all kinds of stuff. It's like it's just. I find it so I can't wrap my head around how you can have essentially the same gene across the board and things like that. And
let's be real. It's a defect, right? That in the wild, in theory, would have been eaten by something, right? I mean, let's not to be too, glass half empty, but I feel like that's the gist of it. But there's been that one time or that 2 times where it beat all the odds and survived, or the hets survived, and that's why we have the amazing looking animals that Joe's got at home,
Yeah, I mean, there's also the factor of like, again, these are genetic mutations. So like something could have happened in breeding, it's a mutant. So something wrong, quote unquote, could have happened in the genetic sequence or whatever that caused the scaleless. And then it became a recessive trait, but it didn't kind of like popped out of nowhere. If that makes sense. I mean, that's how a ton of things happen with humans and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, corns are a good example of it, I think, just because of how many morphs we've had come out of certain localities and wild caught animals. Just that's especially with the the Ladies Island stuff in particular, with the sort of the line breeding there is like I'm not expecting anything crazy, but it just you never know. I mean, Cinder came out of Keys corns,
Yeah.
like, and that's a kind of a bizarre gene just because of the way it works and sort of shows itself even in hets. I find it fascinating that stuff like that can lurk under the surface in a species in the wild for so long, and no one ever come across it. But you somehow manage to get two animals that just happen to have that same recessive.
Yeah.
And you put them together, and there it is.
Yeah, man, for sure. Love to do like some genetic, some DNA testing on some of the stuff, and just like see if there's locality tracers or markers. You know what I
Right.
mean? That like it came from this, like everything, winds up coming from this county
Mm-hmm.
or this mountain range. Kind of like the blonde subox. Dusty Rhodes talking about how they come from this one area in Texas where if you zoom out on satellite, like you zoom out to satellite imagery of the state of Texas, that part of the state is yellow. Like the earth is just yellow, therefore the snakes adapted to be yellow.
Like the specks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly, dude, exactly. Speckled rattlesnakes, literally looking like the rocks they live in. It's wild.
Yeah. I always wonder just how long it takes for that kind of thing to sort of set itself in stone, no pun intended.
Yeah.
How long did it take for different populations of specks to adapt to get a sort of genetic stronghold of like, okay, the rocks in this area are blue, therefore the specks are blue. The white ones in Yuma and things like that. Just the slow whittling down genetically over time. It's like the erosion of rock. It just you don't see it, but it's happening, and it maybe it takes eons or whatever, but just
have you heard like what like Ryan Young has said about yellow chondro neos, just like what the point is? So his theory almost
I've heard it, but it's been I don't remember it.
So his theory about it is that like red, as we know, is kind of like the dominant thing, and then getting yellow neos is likely recessive, but they're coming in the wild still, obviously. But what chondros probably originally were these like dark brown snakes, and they go through this long onogenic color change, and eventually they became more red. Now we got these red neos, and now you're starting to see a lot of these yellows. But the thing is, the yellows have a lot more of a natural transition to green, and a quicker one for them to adapt to the trees better and blend into the environment a lot better than reds do, because the reds tend to go through a longer OCC.
Well, that, and they've got an entire other section of that, of going from red to orange to green with the yellows.
Yeah.
Just yellow to green. It's a pretty simple transition. And I noticed that Dan Maliri just posted 3 different videos of his time on Biak.
I watched one like last week.
The first one, they were out walking and looking for green trees, and he found these weird long, they're not like peppers, but they're red. And
yes
seeing those, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like if there's things that almost like how eyelash vipers sort of blend in with sort of the yellows and some of the birds of paradise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something very similar to that. And so that would, seeing that, I was like, okay, that makes complete sense, because like he was saying, it is very reminiscent in size and length and shape of a baby chondro, so it's it is interesting how you have some localities that there's never been a documented red baby. And Harlan always said, there's never been a documented one, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. And it's like, it's kind of like Bigfoot in a way. It's like if he was really real, I feel like someone would have spotted it by now. Especially with the amount of them coming into the country, chondro wise.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's maybe it's just something that eventually just got bred out of the populations and stuff, especially when you're talking like Aru, that's separated by water and everything, and isolated. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to me that the yellows would be more sort of common, both in the regard of you talking about them, the transition being sort of expedited a little bit in color and stuff, but then also the shift from habitat from when they're babies to when they're adults. When they're little, they're much closer to the ground. Usually they're more on the edges of forests. They're not really deep in there, so they're in a much more sort of what I would imagine would be a more dappled sunlight kind of areas where that yellow would probably be super beneficial in that regard as far as camouflage goes.
Yep.
Now, wasn't there a study on the spectrum of rods and cones in birds in relation to the chondro's color?
I don't know that it was specifically to the chondro's color, but I think it's definitely been studied in general in terms of camouflage for things against birds.
Yeah, kind of the idea that the chondros that were the red chondro babies were yellow babies, but they kept getting eaten by birds, so the duller, more drab babies grew up to make duller and more drab more babies, to the point where now the babies are impervious to, well, not impervious, but you know what I mean, they're less likely to be preyed upon by birds for whatever, and vice versa, red, yellow, whatever. You get what I'm saying?
It is odd to me, though, that red would be genetically dominant in the locales that it's, or subspecies, I guess, at this point, that it exists in. But you don't have it in some of those populations at all.
Yeah.
Which I think is odd.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Chondros are pretty cool.
Texas rat snakes are kind of cool.
Yes, they are.
Scaleless puff adders, not cool.
Why not?
I feel bad for them, man. They look itchy and they have no pattern. Itchy. Yeah, I feel bad for them.
I remember hearing at some point someone locally bought a scaleless bearded dragon or something, and they were talking about how they had to like moisturize it with lotion on like a regular basis.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that about scaleless corns back in the day.
Terrible. Like that sounds.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when like scaleless corns were first a thing. Everyone's like, "Yeah, you got to moisturize their skin." I was like, "Why would you want to put that animal through that?" I mean, clearly we know that's a fallacy, but still, ugh. I will say this though: the scaleless death adders are fucking incredible looking.
I didn't even know they were scaleless.
Yeah, dude, they're crazy. I'm pretty sure they're Lavis, and they're just wild looking.
I can say though, like just the way I like my scaleless Texas though, like I do not mess with scaleless ball pythons. Anything that doesn't have ventral scales and can't, perform locomotion and survive, is messed up in my opinion. The fact people are still breeding for scaleless ball pythons is whack. Honestly, it's stupid. I see people grow them up, and like there was a meme that not even a meme, like someone photoshopped a picture of a scaleless female on eggs because like they're known that they can't lay eggs. Like it's just stupid. Like they can't reproduce. It's wild.
Is it tied to a certain gene? Like did it pop up out of a certain morph with those?
No, I mean Barchek produced the first one. It's a super. It's an incomplete dominant. The heterozygous form is a scaleless head, so it's just lacking some scales on its head. And then the super of that is a full scaleless snake.
Wow.
And it was cool as shit when it hatched, because I remember watching that video. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was a lot younger, but then all the stuff came about, and he even said like they don't do well, but people are still working on them. I'm like, all right, I guess.
Yeah. Jeez.
But
that's such a tough ethical crossroads that we've seen with jags and spiders and
Yep.
that kind of stuff, and it's one of those sort of gray areas where it kind of depends on where you fall on that sort of spectrum in terms of morality.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think like the UK sort of banning that stuff, I feel like is a maybe it's because of American and these colors don't run.
It's a bit harsh.
It just seems a bit extreme. It's like I understand
they didn't ban
regulating
them.
that stuff, but it's also like
They didn't ban them. I thought they just don't allow them at shows.
maybe I think that's what it was, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like if you really want to do it, I guess go ahead, and if you're not into it, then just don't. I don't.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, there, Joseph?
I don't know, because I feel pretty strongly about like spider ball pythons. Like, I don't think people should be breeding those. Like, seriously, it's known. It's been known for what, like 20 years at this point, that like spiders have this deformity, yet people still keep breeding away, and they're putting them in these. And I hate to bring money into it, but like they keep putting spider into these high value projects, and then people keep breeding them away. I'm like, what are you doing? And then people just keep buying them, and now they're getting bred because someone produced a spider triple het, this and that, but they're buying it because it's a triple het and it happens to have spider. It's like, no,
that just goes back to people being fucked up and not thinking about the animal as an animal and a living creature. It's just a commodity to them.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh no, this one doesn't have any wobble. It's like, it's not the point. It's the point that it can create a wobble. If you're gonna breed it, there's a chance it creates animals with wobbles. Yeah. I don't agree with it. That goes for, there's other morphs in that complex, because spider has a big allelic complex. There's a couple other ones when you make the supers of the incomplete dominance, they also turn into wobblers. And some of the allelic combos as well. So I don't know. That's where I kind of stand on my ethical line, but it is what it is, I guess.
I wonder if there's people out there still trying to pull off the leucistic carpet.
Oh, there is. I'm sure there is.
Really? I just never got to the point where I was like, I think everyone was kind of like, why are we even trying anymore? Like, clearly this doesn't work. Doesn't matter who's doing it. It's not happening. Like,
yeah, I'm sure there is.
Like, knowing, like, that's when I was like, okay, I'm not really into this. Is like, people were like, yeah, I'm going to breed these jags and they're going to have problems, but they're going to be really pretty and they're going to be jags. So let's do it.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't really like that.
I mean, I feel like it definitely goes back to that commodity thing. Like, there's people out there that will breed two jags together, and in their mind, they're like, if it dies, it dies, whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what this is about, man. Like,
yeah.
I think it's someone hoping that maybe the when they do it, they'll manage to pull off the one.
Yeah,
that
they'll be the magic one.
I'll roll those dice. I'll try it out. And
yeah, it's like you can't win the lottery if you don't play.
Yeah,
stupid.
I don't know. I'm glad there's not a whole lot of that stuff in general.
Yeah,
in terms of popular things that are clearly cause issues.
Yeah.
But what's the if you do end up moving, I guess it's going to depend on sort of the space you end up with, but what do you have your eyes set on expanding into when the time arrives?
Yeah. It's tough, man. I've actually been eyeing popwin carpets. I've been seeing interest in them. I think that would be fun to try a different python species, because I don't know why, like some of them are just cool to me, and I think it'll be cool to have a non-ball python that stays relatively small. It kind of acts like a colubrid a bit. I think that would fit my niche well.
Yeah.
And just in general, with the way I know people line breed them for certain stuff, like I think that fits what I look for in a project nowadays.
Sure.
Especially with like these Texas rats. So I think that scratches an itch, and that'll be fun to experience something. I like fight every day with what other, because I definitely like to have another North American rat snake species. I'm just not sure what I would want.
Birds.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because like Chris produces those beautiful Everglades, and I'm like, oh, I need some pale sided or albino or hypo Everglades or something, and I'm like, I don't know. Those are bangers. If you're listening, I mean, I love those snakes every time you post them. Let's see. I more Asian stuff. I mean, my heart really loves the Asian rat snakes. So I'd really like to work more with some other species, maybe add another rhino or two. I know that's the answer you're looking for,
Yeah.
Smitty.
Yeah.
Fishing, just fishing for that.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some others that I would like to be on my list. I'd definitely like to, after the conversation you guys had with Matt Most, that like really, and especially after reading some of the Asian rat snake book, that like really inspired me that like I think I should at some point try to get into a very not so common Asian species and really try to work them.
Yeah.
I got a lot of feedback on that episode too about that in particular of
it was a great conversation.
People that have to conserve some of these things because they're not going to be here forever if we don't.
It was a great conversation and it really hit hard. I'm like, yeah, I mean, not even for like an ego thing, but it's like I'd love to be that guy with this species. Like that would be cool, So yeah.
Yeah, it's fun
I don't know.
focus on something that is not known about or not focused on, and then people get to see how passionate you are about it. They get to see how amazing the animal is, and then more people dive into it, and then that's how we bring species to fruition in our community. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, even when I talked to Smitty about his oh my god, the Jansenii, yeah. I mean, if you get them to actually hatch, you'll be one of the first people in the country to do so. So, I mean, that's kind of leaving a mark there. So, it's kind of inspiring.
The excitement and the sort of the challenge of it, that's like addicting.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like a puzzle you've been working on for years, very slowly, and you finally get it pieced together.
It's good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know what species that may be for me, but I'll have to do some research, and I'm sure I'll probably have to like buy some wild caught animals to some extent and see what I can do and have a very
conspics.
What was that?
Those conspics, man. Those Japanese forest rats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do
anything
not
out of
see those
Japan,
often.
man. Anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And dude, Dr. Messenger is currently in Okinawa doing some herp tour stuff. And dude, he's sent me pictures of some Ovophis and some, Protobothrops favoviridis, the Okinawan habus, and killer stuff out of Japan, man.
Yeah. That's someone I'd love. I don't know if this is a good transition time, but that's someone I would love to have on my show if I could ever get him, because I love that book that he did. That was a great one. But yeah,
he's a great dude to talk to, man. He's the one that really put China on my radar in terms of like herping and herpetofauna and wanting to go there.
It came across my head the other day. So I don't know if you follow what is it? Is it Rupert's Reptiles?
Yeah.
Whatever on Instagram.
He's in Thailand, right?
Yeah, but he posted like this very nice like mountainscape and he labeled it was in the Guangxi, if I'm pronouncing that right, province And he said home of Mullendorfi. And I was
Mhm.
like, so I swiped up on the story. I was like, hey, do you know if Valenti occupies the same habitat? Just because I was curious, because I'm like, I have these Guangxi animals from
Yeah.
Matt. Do they occupy the same kind of habitat? And he responded to me almost, rather quickly. And he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they kind of occupy the same space. I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, and
That's
then
awesome.
it got to my head. I was like, oh, I need to go on a herping trip in China.
Yeah, dude.
I
That's
need
why
to
I'm-
go see Asian species in China.
I'm dead serious on planning a Vietnam trip or something. I don't know exactly how I need to go about doing it, because I want to see rhinos in the wild.
Yeah,
I gotta take the Casey Cannon route and go direct and see them firsthand.
Yep.
Do you want to go straight to the Hainan Island for Hainanensis?
I'd go look for them. Yeah, I mean it's still a rhino, whether
Yeah.
the whole taxonomy of it is still whatever in my book, but absolutely, it doesn't seem like they're terribly hard to come across there. It also, if we came across cave geckos too, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just weird.
Imagine seeing
China's
one of those little things walking around. Like, geez.
little dinosaurs, dude. Just China in general, man, and even Iran. Iran is another one that'd be just absolutely killer to go and herp. But you just think about, I think we have this sort of, maybe it's the news and the media that gives us this sort of preconceived notion of what these places are like, and you forget that there's China. You've got deserts, you've got montane forests, you've got the lowland coastal areas. There's a whole plethora. There's an entire other country attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides Tiananmen Square and what you've seen in textbooks and stuff.
With that picture that he posted, it almost just makes me wonder, is like, how remote do you have to go to actually find some of these animals? That's what's always been my curiosity. I think it's more so just the not knowing, and China's a gigantic country. It's we understand the US obviously, and we understand where to find the animals that are native here, but to us, China's an enigma. And I mean, the books are out there that shows where some of these animals are found, but you don't know on a map.
Well, it's like a map of Texas. You can see a map of Texas, but this little half-inch section is 6 hours of driving from A to B. And I'm sure China, it's just as bad, if not worse, in terms of
I feel like too is that if you ask most Americans that are fairly educated and even into our hobby, because let's face it, localities and geography and natural habitats are part of the allure of this community, this hobby we have. If you said to a normal average American reptile keeper, what kind of landscape is Arizona? They're going to say desert. Okay. What kind of landscape is Montana? It's mountains. Okay. What kind of landscape is Kansas? It's prairie. What kind of landscape is Florida? It's swamp, right? We're ballparking here. Now do the same thing for an American with China. You can't.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't name 3 states or provinces in China. I can't. I don't know them because it's not my thing.
We have this vision of this hyper industrialized country, and it's you forget it's
the size of ours.
That country that doesn't probably have anybody really even living in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Australia, it's from this second third to the left, there's nothing. Nobody's living out there.
Yeah. And then you get a lot of species too that are a border crossing species that just happens to be on both sides of the human imaginary line. And a lot of people that go to northern Thailand to get some Chinese species because they don't want to or can't cross the border.
Mm-hmm.
So
what would be really fun is doing a Dion's rat tour. So you start in China, find Dion's, and then slowly work your way into Europe. The whole band of their range that stretches literally the entire Eurasian continent, and just finding them in all the different countries would be.
Yeah, there's
that'd be
dude
cool.
following you in the airport with a trench coat and an earpiece, just wondering why you're going from communist state to communist state to communist state.
You wouldn't get it.
I'm just going after just looking for Dion's, man.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the rat snakes, bro.
Yeah.
But it's super cool.
Vietnam, man, it'd be dope.
Yeah, and we'll definitely we'll put the good word in and try and get Dr. Messenger on meteoric serpents.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
would be cool.
He'll love it. He loves this shit. So
He's another one that he came to my house.
yeah,
I've somehow managed to have just the most random people.
you really have, Smitty. You
I don't
really
know.
have.
It doesn't make sense. Like Doc Wyman's been here. Tim Morris, Doc Messenger.
Yeah.
Pete.
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 God.
So speaking of the podcast, how's the podcast going? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the podcast is fun. My podcast is pretty solely focused on colubrids, though I do bend it quite a bit.
Is that right? It's
Yeah.
colubrid centric.
Yeah, for sure. But no, it's fun. I do it on Sundays at 7:30 EST, which may be a bad time for some people, but I've had this conversation with Smitty before. The first like 20 episodes or so were like smooth, easy to get guests, and people were very willing to come on. And now I am struggling. It's tough to get someone every week for this shit. And I don't know if it's a mix of people don't know who the hell I am and they don't care, or they genuinely just don't want to do a show. I feel it's like a compliment, and it's like, hey, I admire what you're doing. I'd like you to come talk about it. But I don't know. I guess people don't like necessarily see it that way, or they're just shy, or they don't want to come on for whatever reason. I'm just like, all right, I gotta take it for what it is. But no, it's been really fun, and the conversations I've had, I think they're just really good, and it's stuff that you don't hear all the time. And I try to ask, like, I don't want to say like hard hitting questions, but like I try to make it like substantial, and it's not just the same recycled BS that anyone could hear from that person.
Sure, man.
Yeah, that's something that I always kind of tried to shoot for. I don't know if I do it as much as I used to, whether that was intentional or not. But like, instead of asking sort of the simple yes or no question, like ask them why they're doing something in particular.
Yeah.
Like, you're keeping these like this, like what's the thought process behind why you're doing that? Not, are you keeping them like that? And I'm just being yes, just trying to
engaging,
take things from different angles, like,
sure.
Look at certain things from different perspectives, and sort of trying to get that nugget of wisdom out of it,
Yeah. And I'll be honest, when you talked to me about doing it, I was super excited, and I was like, "Oh shit, Sunday nights! Oh god, the next like 4 Sundays, I'm messed up." So I felt bad. I was like, "Dude, I'm not ducking you, man. I want to do it."
It's all good.
Tough, Sunday nights.
Yeah, no, sorry, that was not a dig at you whatsoever.
No, people, not at all.
I
wanted part of you coming on tonight was honestly because I was like, "Fuck, man, I feel bad that I keep blowing him off, and let's get him on here." And I was like, I was selfish. I was like, I know he's gonna listen anyway.
Exactly. No, you're right.
Yeah.
No, overall it's been fun. And I always have like the same kind of general outline, and then I really try to focus on whatever that person's saying. Like, I try to have an actual conversation, and like and then I respond to what they're saying and have a side conversation off of that, and keep it going. So yeah, I it's just me having fun talking about colubrids. I started it kind of out of nowhere from nothing. I've grown a lot more comfortable, a lot better of a speaker, and so it's just been fun. Great, and people watch it and like it, so that's also cool.
That is a perk, right?
When I get a DM from a new person that like I didn't know about, that just said, hey man, I really like your show. Like that's all it takes, and that makes my day. I'm just like,
Yeah.
shit. Like you watch my show, and you were nice enough to say that. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Time is the most expensive currency, man, and the fact that people are willing to give it to you, to me, that's a big deal, because we say it all the time on THP. Like, you could be anywhere else, but you're here listening to us. It's
For sure.
It's the one thing you don't get change on. You don't get anything back out of it. Just so. But I mean, yeah, you've been doing really well, man, and you've been getting some really good people on.
Thanks.
The guest thing definitely can get tough at times. I've found over the years that it's been kind of like a feast or famine thing. Like, you either have a really good run where you're asking people and everyone's like yes, and then you'll just go through these spurts where it's just like can't, no, come back in a month, and it's just like, damn, it gets tough. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Lisa said it can be really hard finding guest speakers for the Herb Society. Also, I imagine that probably even harder, because that involves
that's even harder because it's like local people. It's like local people, and it's like public speaking in person.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy for someone to hop on their laptop and have a conversation. They don't even have to show their face; they can just just use the audio. While it's to have someone drive to a high school gymnasium and give a presentation or a chat or talk. That's tough, Lisa. Big ups to you, girl.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had a few over the years where, like, they're very clearly just not. It's not their thing, and like that's that's fine. I think I've mentioned it to Joe, at least talking to him and stuff. Like, I'll usually ask somebody maybe 3 times tops, and if it's consistently a no after that third time, I'm like, okay, if you wanted to do it, you would. Like, I'm not gonna hound you. I'm not gonna beg you. It's just exactly. It's like, I can, after the third time, okay, I get it. I'll stop asking. So it's it can be tough, and it's definitely some of the older guys, that aren't super tech savvy. The idea of the whole like streaming thing and the video chat thing can be kind of intimidating for them, and trying to make it as easy as possible for them to join it and do it. Stuff makes things a lot easier, because I think some of them, there's that hurdle of technology, and the whole process of it can be a little, like they just don't want to deal with it. But I mean, we've been really lucky. Like, we've had a couple of guys that hadn't done podcasts before, like Tony D, having him on was awesome. I definitely want to do that again. I feel like there was one not that long ago where they were like, I've never done a podcast. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But it's always cool when you get those guys that are, they're some of the best in their particular corner, in the community.
Yeah.
They're absolutely willing to sit down and hang out. And
100%.
They go into it, and they almost always end up telling us too, by the end of it, they're like, I didn't really know how that was going to go, but they're like, that was actually really easy, and I really enjoyed it. And of course, like so many of them, they start out, especially if it's someone that you don't really know or talk to a whole lot, they start out kind of awkward and a little rough, but then by the end of it, everyone's sort of gotten the cadence of things and the flow of it.
Yeah, and in the end, we're talking about reptiles, right? I mean, we all love them, so
that's it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I think it's also cool that we have the hosting technology that we have now. Like, you think about like the NPR boys back in the day, and like having to actually call in like a radio show. Like, that's so much more difficult than what we do. We can, and at the same time, we have the ability to be flexible with our recording time. Obviously there's a live show. We try and do it at the same time every week so that people can chime in and have the group chat and all that. But for a quote unquote normal podcast, we could have did this at 11 this morning. You know what I mean? And if you have some of those older guys or gals that want to, at 9 o'clock at night, it's way too late for me, but we can do tomorrow at 11 a.m. Well, then, let's do it. All it is a click of a button.
I offer it all the time, especially when I don't want to call them like that. They're being like difficult, or they say like, oh, I'm not sure, whatever. I always throw it out there. Like, hey, I'll do pre-recorded. I don't care, and let it release on the usual time, because at least we get the episode done. Although I love the chat interaction. sometimes it's a little bit slower on my end, but like sometimes it's really good, and there's some good questions in there and helps to contribute to the overall conversation. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For
That's
sure.
yeah, and that's a compliment that I've actually gotten a good bit too from some of the people that just haven't done podcasts before. They're like, I like having the chat and seeing the questions and stuff.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. I always sort of go into it expecting them to not really be into it, especially the live thing. Like that's a tough one. I can definitely tell when someone's, if they're on the fence and you mention it's live, like they're not going to do it. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
always like, well,
yeah.
we'll pre-record it, no big deal. You know, and it's some people are shy. I get it. I mean, when I first started doing it, dude, I was like, public speaking and stuff was my freaking nightmare.
Whoa.
And look at that. Phil got him a scarab, one of them beetles from the Mummy that crawls under your skin. Now it's weird. Like we've been doing it so long and stuff. I feel like I could get up in front of a group of people and speak without any issues, which I can't say I would have been able to do, 7 years ago.
What's funny is I'm not sure I can. I could do this over here, and that's all right. But even like right before I hit that go live button, I'm still like, all the nerves are there, and then I kind of just have to get it flowing, and then it's better.
Well, I also like to compare it to it's very all right. So the three of us chatting right now is essentially as if we'd gone over one of each other's houses. We're sitting in the living room. We're on the couch. We're on the lazy boy, whatever. We're just bullshitting, sitting around the coffee table, having a beer, whatever, having a cup of coffee.
Coffee table.
The coffee talk.
Coffee table.
Talks amongst yourselves. And that was for Kasicki in case he's listening. If you walk onto a stage with like an auditorium of people, a symposium, a lecture hall, whatever, and you're on the podium, it's very different. And I imagine if you did like a live talk or lecture, but instead of being at a podium addressing the audience, you had like three lazy boys, and the three of us were just sitting there talking to each other with microphones. And then we lean over to our right, and there's a whole audience of people taking questions, whatever. I feel like that's such an easier vibe to do than just to stand there in the quote unquote spotlight,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what also makes it so much easier in this capacity, is because it's not just you talking to just the group chat. Like there's still the chit chat camaraderie, right?
You know what's funny? When Dr. Loafman started asking for suggestions of stuff for Colubrid Fest, I did suggest a live podcast discussion.
Roundtable.
Between like all the guys that do the podcast and stuff, which includes you guys and myself, even, because I was like, maybe that could be entertaining. I don't know, so I don't know. We'll see if he takes that up or not.
They haven't released a city yet, right?
No, but the way Clint said something in our chat a day or two ago that implied that they have it and that they're going to announce it on the next show.
Nice.
Because that's going to be.
I don't know. Maybe that's a spoiler. Sorry, Clint.
If it's like, West Coast, that's. I don't know if I'm explain that. If it's something within a.
I feel like it's not. It doesn't seem like it'll be West Coast.
I don't think it will be, but I know they were also talking about Georgia at one point, and I'm like, for the love of God, like of all the states, that's probably one of the worst ones you could be doing Colubrid Fest in.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Tennessee had been mentioned. Tennessee sounds like they can have some sort of goofy laws, but I don't know. Good old South Carolina is always here, though. Everyone forgets about South Carolina. It's like one of the last bastions of freedom.
Yeah. That was a spot I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if they'll, like, if it's in this kind of close proximity, like that would be great.
I figure they'll probably do it somewhere very centrally located in the country, like somewhere very center of everything,
Yeah.
That's why they did all the carpet fests in all the different regions.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they have in store for us. I don't know if I'll be able to go this year, just taking time off from work and stuff, but I'm very excited to see what comes of it because I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be really cool.
I'd like to make my best attempt to go one way or another, just as an attendee.
Sure.
Just to show face as part of the Colubrid community, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And supporting those guys. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, they're killing it, man. Doing a great job.
I completely forgot about freaking Venom Week, man, and that just came and went.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even that far from me. Like that's like Durham, which is like a 5-hour drive.
It's tough, man. It's all those Venom Symposium things, man. It's tough. It's very expensive. And if you're not like in academia, it's very difficult to attend. I do. And people are going to tell me I'm full of crap, but you know, I had my my one friend's wife is a vet, and her hospital that she works in, they actually sent her to one a year or two ago. I think she told me for her to do all the seminars was like over $500, and like the hospital paid for it, but like, and they paid for airfare and her room and board and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if I could swing that just to listen to lectures for personal enjoyment. You know what I mean?
I believe IHS is this weekend, Lisa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Think so.
That was another one that's tempting because Knoxville is not
drivable.
terrible, not a terrible trip.
Yeah, it's drivable.
Thought it'd be fun just to show up, not tell anybody I was going.
Yeah, that is the best.
Sneak up behind Clint and just stand there.
Yeah, just breathe on his neck
Breathe gently
warmly.
on his neck.
Just whisper Henny Peens in his ear.
Yeah. Thank you for answering my question.
Just come behind. Come here often.
I don't think I've ever done any of those sort of talk sort of events. I think Daytona and any of the other reptile shows is kind of it.
Yeah, the only ones I've ever been to was Daytona, and I went to 2 or 3 gecko ones, and then because of all the Chelonian stuff that goes along with the National Reptile Breeders Expo, they're all turtle people. I kind of stopped going to them. You know what I mean? Just because turtles really aren't my thing. And I went to, I think one of them that I really enjoyed was on wood turtles, because I'd have a soft spot in my heart for wood turtles, and that was super cool. But it's tough because like Tinley is the gecko people. Daytona is the turtle people. You know what I mean? Like you got to kind of find what show has the lectures you want to listen to. But it would be great to go to IHS. It'd be great to go to Venom Week and what's the one they do in the Chiricahuas?
That's Pit Viper Symposium.
Pit Vipers. I've always
biology of pit vipers.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to that, man. It's just I just can't swing it. It's tough. So
they just announced the dates for that next year, just the other day.
Nice.
Because that would be a cool trip.
Yeah, and I know a lot of them, they go to Herp and see the sites and see the Chiricahuas and see the museum and everything, and that's super awesome, super cool. I also don't know if I'm not, how do I phrase this? I'm afraid that I'll pay to go to these symposiums and it'll be all above my head, above my pay grade, you know. And that's,
I don't know. Venom Week didn't seem like that. Venom Week seemed pretty, I don't know what the word would be for that. I have a friend here locally. She's with EMS, and she went, and then she posted pictures, and I was like, wait a second, it's June already. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And I completely missed it, because I totally would have figured out whatever I needed to do to take off and go to that. I just completely spaced on the fact that this year's halfway over already.
I know. Isn't that wild?
It's crazy.
Wild.
It's just going faster and faster.
It's the 5G, man. It's the 5G.
It is, yeah. Mm.
Goddamn next rad towers.
Got your tinfoil hat ready?
It's not stopping you from those gamma rays, bro. That's for sure.
I'm watching 2 Turkicus geckos chase each other right now.
We lost him, Joe. We lost him.
You didn't. They're up there spazzing out, running around and stuff.
I know. Meanwhile, I got that fucking beetle. He's like, keeps coming back here. I keep looking at the corner of my eye, thinking something's going to attack me. It's just his dumb ass flying into me.
Have you done any more herping?
Yeah, I have not herped for shit in the past like 3 months, 2 months, whatever it's however long it's been. God, it's June already. Joe, you better have gone herping without me. You had to have seen something. Have you gone anywhere?
Not quite.
You're not even backyard herping, bro. You live in pristine backyard herping country.
I need to, yeah, because I have to like, yeah, I have to walk a little bit. I'm super busy. I have to do it on like a Sunday when like I have nothing going on. Honestly, that's probably when I have to do it on a Sunday morning.
Okay, what night during the week, during the standard work week, what night could you stay out till like midnight or 1 o'clock?
I go to the gym at like 4:30 in the morning, 4:45.
Come on, man.
I'm a
Come on.
maniac.
Just be a fat kid for one night. Come on. Just skip the
No,
gym one morning.
sometimes I do. I stay up a little bit and then I'll sleep in and hit the gym at night. But I'm a very routine person because that's the only way I get shit done, like efficiently.
I mean, dude, I'll come pick you up at like 6:30. We'll go out. We'll hit some spots, take some pictures. I have you home by midnight.
All right, we could do that. We could arrange that.
Yeah, we'll do it on like a fucking Tuesday or something. You know.
All right.
Tis the season, bro.
Yeah.
We all need to go up to Apalachicola National again.
I know. I'm still envious of that trip. Harry's in here. He's rubbing in our faces.
Yeah, I saw Worcester and Harry Green, and it's quite the lineup for the.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah.
Hell of a lineup.
I just kind of giggle to myself every now and then because Worcester bought some Fulvia shirts a couple months ago. I saw his name pop. I was like, "What? No way!" This like couldn't be anybody else. I mean, who has that name? You know?
Right? It's so unique.
So I messaged him and I was like, "Thank you, I'm a big fan. I sent you a cup of my blood. Did you get my blood?"
Nice. Did he reply?
Yeah, dude. He was like, he was excited about it. He got it
Excellent.
shipped to the Desert Museum. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was like, I don't know when you're actually going to have these in hand, but there's plenty more where that came from, buddy.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, Jake goes cruising a good bit, and I try my best to go when I can because he's got a really good spot. But between it gets exponentially more difficult when you have, family, podcast stuff, collection stuff.
Oh yeah,
stuff, and almost always something has to get punted to go do that. But at the same time, every now and then I gotta pump the brakes on everything and just go bullshit for a few hours.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this winter I was really hammering it, and I wasn't getting as many species as I probably could have had I done it now. But I feel like now, for whatever reason, I'm just busy, man. And it's like, it's no excuse. It's just, I was on Flippin' Tin with Jake and Sky, and we were talking about how it's easy to get off from work, get in the car, go road cruise for a couple hours, opposed to setting up a hike, And dude, I haven't even had the gumption to do a road cruise just because I'm beat, man. Coming home from work, and
it's just that time of year, dude. I don't know about you, but this time of year just feels more chaotic, and I don't know if it's because school's getting out, and so you have
for sure
things going on there, and then like work for me this time of year is always a little more crazy because it's like festival season, so we got a lot of big orders for that going on, and so it's like getting to work early every day to get ahead of that kind of stuff and everything else. It's a weird time of year.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as it starts to warm up, everything just gets chaotic.
Oh yeah. See, and this is my slow season. So this is the time where I should be, but I'm still putting out fires and metaphorically, of course, and just trying to keep busy with work and do the spring cleaning, so to speak, because there's not as much going on, but Harry Claiborne says that Joey's going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Since you're going herping.
I know. They're all going to kill me, all the herping guys. Because I said I would, and then I haven't stuck to it. So
Yeah.
I don't get out as much as I want to, so I feel you.
and I've also mentioned, I don't know if I showed you exactly where I'm at, Phil, but like Boca itself is just such, like, even where I'm at, because I'm all the way west,
Yeah.
like there's still cars everywhere, and there's no isolated roads or like stuff that like I can just go drive on at night, or else I probably would.
Well, where you're at is going to be a combination of going to the local parks and at the same time, like, dare I say, we don't trespass, we don't go, we're not supposed to go, wink, wink, but some golf courses, you know, in between neighborhoods, like not in neighborhoods, because that's how you get shot, but in between neighborhoods. And then realistically, and that's going to be a lot of your more invasive species, but no, man, we'll take the 40-minute drive. We'll go out in the glades. We'll go out to the cane fields and do a couple hours there and then come back.
I told Jake to bring me back a veiled.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing those guys this weekend, man. I'm seeing those guys this weekend. No, I don't go for veileds anymore, man. That shit's too sketch, bro. That shit's too sketch. Too many incidences. Too many people getting shot. Like, no, thank you. Veil chameleons are not for me, man. Yeah.
That's the funny part about it is challenging Jake to get one.
Well, where they're going and where I'm meeting them is like 2 hours from where the veileds are. So I don't know what the hell they're doing. But
well, I heard they were coming down here, and then I messaged Jake, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be like 2 hours south of you." I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, "Where?"
Yeah, no, I'm gonna meet them. I'm gonna meet them about an hour and a half south of us, and then we're gonna go another hour and a half to 2 hours west. So,
jeez,
no one's sky. They're probably going down to the Keys.
I don't think they're going that far south. They're going far though, and I'm gonna take them to on the other side and take them where Nipper and I found that Clark guy, because I know Jake really wants to see some mangrove estuaries and stuff. And
that would be cool.
I know they want to see a croc, and I'm dying to see a croc, not just eye shine, because I've only ever seen them as eye shine. So we'll see what happens. Try and find some goods. Try and find a Brooks King, and then send it to Smitty.
Don't do that. I'll send it back. I'll just refuse it at the time of drop off. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't order anything.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff in Boca, man. Both Boca del Mar, West Boca. Like, there's a ton of stuff there. It's just being careful that you're not walking through people's yards or getting kicked off a golf course, or honestly, like, just going to the park, man. Like the park with like the swings and the play sets. Like, as long as it's not gated off.
Florida.
You can, no, seriously, as long as it's not gated off, you can literally go to the park where they have like the basketball courts or the swing sets, park your car, get out with your headlamp, you know.
Yeah.
You have a camera, you have a cell phone. If the cops are like, "What are you doing in the park at night?" Well, we're looking for geckos. They'll be like, "What?" Like, yeah, man, look. Like, you show them a picture of a gecko on your phone. They're like, "Oh, we have that?" And then you get to show the cops the gecko. But no, seriously, like, you'll find all kinds of cool stuff at night, especially some of the arboreal stuff, like night.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem. Is like I haven't tried at night. I have seen night anoles by me, like during the day. There was one time I walked out. There was like this path that runs behind some of the houses in my neighborhood, and I walked that, and I was flipping a bunch of stuff, and I think it was too late in the morning. Like, I think it was too hot out. Yeah. I flipped a Brahminy blind snake, and I didn't know what it was, and I like half freaked out at it. I was like, what the hell is this thing? Like, flipping around in my hand. And then I looked online later, and I was like, oh, I did find something.
It's a melanistic coral.
Nice. That's cool, man. That's good. Yeah, if you have like a nature trail behind your development, or even just like an improvised walking path behind the house,
which is basically what it is.
Yeah,
an improvised path.
Yeah, dude. So you go there on the right night. If it, how about this?
Even early morning, you're already up at 4:30.
Yeah, I had a friend. I had a friend who lived in Boynton, right? And they lived in a fairly newer community in Boynton. And if it drizzled like a good drizzle, we would walk the sidewalks in his community and find corn snake, find
Really?
scarlet snakes. Yeah, dude.
Well,
Ringneck
the thing is,
snakes.
like, even when I take my dog out at night, I always got the flashlight and like I'm just looking at the ground. I'm like, will I find anything? And I don't think we get anything like in the neighborhood. I think you have to go just outside of it because literally behind the houses is Everglades.
Well, Marcus found a 5-foot Everglades rat that he didn't find it. Someone called him to retrieve it. That was in their yard about a mile from your house.
Really? Okay.
In Boca del Mar.
Okay.
So this stuff's there. It's hard to find
Yeah.
because it's all houses,
Yep.
But I mean, there's I think there's like 7 different species of anole in your area.
Is it really?
Not including the night anole.
Wow.
There's rumored to be standing eye geckos. There's rumored to be
Hell yeah.
multiple spots to get tokays, but from what I gather, the tokays by
Really?
you are on apartment buildings and they're like 60 feet up or like 80 feet up.
Interesting.
So like there's no way you can get them, but like you can see them, like they're on the side of the building.
I've never understood the differences between like the different brown anoles, but obviously I see ones that look, a little bit varying from each other. Yeah. I don't see greens by me. I'll tell you that for sure.
I've only ever found 2 greens in my yard ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have browns out the ass. I've seen quite a few brown basilisks. They're around.
Yeah.
They're like just during the daytime. But yeah, snakes. That's obviously what I want to find, and I just don't. I've never really gone looking, but like I don't see them much.
Yeah, we can we'll walk the Brazilian pepper plants. If you have any Brazilian pepper that's like lining the neighborhood, you walk the Brazilian pepper at night, right around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Once it's finally cooled down a little bit, the sun's definitely gone. You have your headlamp, you can see them just like festoon over the branches, and you'll just see this neon green line. You're like, that's not the same color as everything else, and it's a rough green.
Interesting.
Just chilling in the Brazilian pepper.
Okay.
Yeah. Little things like that. We'll get you on the spots, bro.
All right. I think I just need to like be shown and find something and then get that high. I think that's what'll spark.
You know what it is? It's not necessarily sure it might be the high, but it's also like it's seeing what it looks like and knowing what it looks like. Like what a corn snake looks like, or what a rough green snake looks like. But if I said, oh yeah, it's in the Brazilian pepper, you'd be like, what? But when I show you that green line and you're like, oh my God, that's what he was talking about. Now you know what to look for.
Right. Okay.
And like, dude, chicken wire fence line, like, they put chicken wire like just randomly to mark off a property line. Right. Dude, I always check those chicken wire property line fence lines, no matter where it is, because if there's stuff growing on it, whether it be air ferns or like creeper vine or even just like tufts of grass, you can tell that it's been there for a while. Dude, snakes, especially colubrids, use that chicken wire as like almost like a lattice. And dude, you'll find black racers in the chicken wire. You find corn snakes in the chicken wire. So you find yellow rats in that shit.
Nice.
It's just right time, right place.
Yep.
We'll get you on it.
Yeah.
He'll put you on it.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm going to put him on it, but I'll definitely steer him in the right direction.
Bebop.
Yeah.
Lisa said power line towers usually have open land around them. That's one of the tips someone gave her.
Yeah, like power line towers by Joe and I, they stretch for 30 miles in a straight lateral line, just across the map, just like 30 miles straight. And they're open access. The problem is they get mowed by the state a lot. So you'll see there'll be like a dirt path that goes next to the high tension wires so that they can get maintenance and serviced. But you kind of wait until the grass is overgrown, because if the grass is short, that means there's been a lot of vehicles through there. It's been a lot of foot traffic, a lot of mowers and tractors. So we'll definitely check that. But on
And
those.
if some tin just happened to find its way on the side of those, on the edges of those lines there, you know,
You'd be surprised they remove it because they don't want to hit it with the mowers. So, but all those high tension wire fire lanes, if you will, they all have offshoots so that the tractors and the trucks can turn around. And those offshoots will have small little flag ponds or like little retention ditches for the water to drain. And you'll find water snakes, you'll find sirens, you'll find baby alligators in those little tiny, and we're talking like 6 inches of water. Yeah. So walking power lines, although may seem creepy and somewhat dangerous, you can find some cool stuff. So Lisa's definitely right on that one.
Cool.
Robert said when you move to New York, come out to Pennsylvania, he has some good spots.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear PA's got some good stuff. I'm sure. I was just always you know, like everyone has the classic, oh, I went out in my backyard and caught stuff. Is like, yeah, I grew up in Queens. It's like we didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
I started seeing in my later years up there, we got Italian wall lizards all over Queens and Long Island. I used to catch them in my school. Like we would get them, they would like invade our locker room through the drains.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was funny.
Those Italians, they love Long Island.
Pretty much. Exactly.
That's cool, man. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're at a time of the year now where I don't have much of a desire to go out just because of how damn hot it is. Like, I'm not going to find anything anyways.
Dude, I go out and I turn into like, I don't know. It's disgusting.
Yeah, you're just not used to it yet.
No, like, dude, I have a sweating problem, like 1,000%. Always have. So I step outside at any given point during the day, and it's full leakage.
Nah, man, it's called the beer can effect. It's because you're from up north, you're not used to it, and then you live down here where you're in perpetual air conditioning. Every building you're in is air conditioned.
That's also true.
The minute you go outside, your cool body, your cool skin hits that thick swamp pea soup air, and you just get beer can effect all over your body. And like the worst thing to do in South Florida is take a shower and be clean and dry and nice and pretty and feel good.
Yeah.
And then like at 9 a.m, you leave your house. Like you took a shower at like 8:30, 8:45, you walk outside to go to work, boom, sweating.
Yep. Every day.
Yeah,
every day.
Dry off.
Yeah, it'll take you about 20 years and you still won't be.
I walk downstairs and I start sweating.
Yeah. That's what we do, baby. It's us. But I also think that when you're mentally prepared to feel gross like that, it's no big deal. You know what I mean? Like if I know we're going to do a morning hike out in the glades and like it's, 6 a.m, we get in the car, the sun's just creeping up, we're driving out to the spot. Like you may start sweating in the car, you may not. The minute you get there, like, I don't care if I sweat. Like I know.
Yeah,
like,
but you're dressed for it. It's like you're prepared.
You're right. Yes. But what you go into work in your work attire, you're not prepared. I get it.
You know what's funny? I can wear whatever I want to work, and my boss comments every single time I wear a snake t-shirt because I wear plenty of them. He's like, let's see, which one are you wearing today?
Nice. That's good. I wore the Fulvius Adamantius bleed shirt with the flag, and it's bright red. I wore it to work one day, and my employer goes, "Man, that is a red shirt." I never wear red, and that shirt I've noticed is the only one in my closet. Just sticks out. It's like, boom, look at me. I love it.
Or I'll get dark horse herpes, and I'm like, no, doesn't say that. Doesn't say that. Yeah.
The one that gets a surprising amount of props is that Badiger turtle skull shirt.
Oh yeah,
that one like the most. If I wear that, people are like, oh, I really like that. And I'm like, really? Out of all of them,
that's cool.
But it is neat. I like it.
Yeah.
Still don't know what to bring to Daytona, man.
Just smattering of everything.
It's like trying to choose which one of your favorite children you want to take to Disney.
Are you going to do a Daytona only exclusive?
I thought about it. I don't know, because I thought about doing like a pygmy one for that.
It would be apropos.
I don't know. I haven't decided yet, because then right now I'm still just trying to decide on how much I want to bring and of what, and it's like threefold difficult, because you have the design options and then the color options in that design, because I'd like to offer more than one color in each.
Yeah.
But then you have 5 to 6 different sizes, and then youth stuff. Am I bringing youth shirts? I feel like it'd be stupid not to, because just in the same way like the 3D printed stuff is so popular and kids just want something that they said they got at the show, I feel like youth shirts would do really well, but
yeah,
I only have so much table space,
Yeah, but I mean, most of the stuff you put under the table, and you just, like I said, you bring a smattering of everything. And if you have one shirt, like you have the Pidgeotto shirt, if it comes in 4 different colors, don't bring 30 shirts of that one size or that one color. Bring tan and black, or yellow and red, or whatever. And
so
say, hey,
actually, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if people are like, hey man, I saw this on your website, do you have this one in brown? Like, no, but you can get it on the website, and sorry. Oh well.
Well, I said, who do I know that I can ask that would have the best insight? And I thought about it, because I was like, who vends on a regular basis and has a large catalog? And our buddy Trey at Cold Blooded Caffeine was the perfect person to ask. And so I said, what do you do when you're doing Tinley? Like, you guys have so many things. Obviously, you're not going to bring everything, but you're going to bring your best sellers for sure. But like, how do you know what to do? And he said that's something they struggle with. What he's been doing recently is bring a limited selection to the show, stuff we know sells, and then have QR codes with discounts linked to them advertising the website and offering free shipping that weekend.
Yeah. My thoughts exactly.
So I was like, that's good in case there's something that they wanted but we didn't bring.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people they wait to go to the show to make a larger order, because they don't want to ship it, and it's special. They got to do it in person. They got to meet you. They got to do it with their friends. It has memories and feelings tied to that purchase. So you kind of lose it when you're like, oh, I'll just buy it on the website. But when you give them a QR code that says free shipping, they can still feel like they got that emotional response, if that makes sense.
Yeah, even the other day I suggested to Smitty, I was like, you should, which I think he already had planned, but like you should have some sort of like catalog almost, so that people can flip through and, he doesn't have a shirt that they want that day. Like they could make a pre-order on it or whatever. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I was you, I would definitely have a physical, tangible menu, or a couple menus, a book, just to flip through and see all the Fulvius designs.
Yeah.
I
mean, I guess the nice thing there is I have the mock-ups for pretty much everything already made, so I wouldn't have to go through and recreate.
Yeah, just like a 3-ring binder or something. Yeah.
It's like I said, it's been kind of overwhelming and anxiety inducing, to the point to where like I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to vend. And I'm like,
nah, you'll do it.
And I'm like, no, I'm not going to vend. He's like, this is too much. And I was like, no, I can do it. Just back and forth constantly, especially if it's been like a rough day of work. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. And I wake up and I'm like, nah, I can do it. It'll be good.
I'm excited. It'll be good.
Yeah. I keep forgetting how like close it is. Like it's 2 months away.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I've got so much to do still. And I
For
keep
sure.
telling myself that, and then I continue to not do it.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis.
And I have way more friends at the show this year, so it's going to be a lot more fun.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You're going to be torn as to who to talk to and how much time.
Oh, I know, because I have like all my ball python friends. They're all going to be like, where the hell's Joe? I'm going to be like, I'm with my My colubrid friends.
Yeah.
My
The cool
peeps.
kids now. Yeah.
I am
But,
bringing.
it is what it is.
Well,
Two-
you tell us we're the cool kids, but then you tell them they're elitists, man. I couldn't get away from them. What were you saying, Justin?
I ordered 200 koozies
Hell yeah.
and then 400 transfers from Paul McIntyre.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I'm just going to be giving out koozies. So if you see me, my plan is to get rid of all of them. I know I said that last year with like the stickers and the discount cards that I had and stuff. And then I just got super weird about just randomly spamming people with physical things at the show.
Yeah.
And but koozies, I'm like, people are going to use those, you know.
Yeah,
especially a bunch
absolutely.
of alcoholics that we hang out with.
Of course.
But
1000%.
I got
gazebo. Ooh.
black, red, and yellow koozies, 68 of each, and they're going to have the Fulvius. They're going to have Fulvius.com on both sides. And I'm just
You put the QR code on the koozie?
No.
Not just a QR code to the website?
No, because I didn't think
Okay.
about that.
All right. Fair enough.
Just at fulviusapparel.com.
Okay.
Damn
People are lazy, man. They just want to go boop with their phone, you know.
it.
next time. I will say this though. The super secret project, Smitty. I got a phone call from that guy a week ago saying that we're almost done. So hopefully we'll get that squared away and then we can announce it closer to Daytona.
I have something new to announce here soon as well with my Low Country Cigar Club shirt.
Oh, I noticed that earlier.
Sort of in the works.
Do we want to discuss that now, or is this a teaser?
It's just a teaser because I don't have full details yet, but
Okay.
For whatever reason, when I saw that much earlier in the episode, I read Lion Country, and I have pretty good eyesight, so I don't know why I did that. Now I see that's very clearly a W.
I can see where you would see where you can here. I can see where you would.
Yeah.
I mean,
We also-
mine didn't suck, so
We have Lion Country Safari near us, which is
I know,
Been there.
I know,
Yeah.
I've been
Cool.
there.
Mhm.
it was about 15 years ago that I went, but
Nice.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
Good stuff, man. Dude, the season's upon us, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything else we wanted to touch upon?
No, I think we covered the bases. Joe, anything else?
No, that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course, bro. It's pleasure's all ours.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Use the code THN at checkout. Get 10% off your order. You need a rack. You need a cage. You need both. They've got something for you. You will not be disappointed. Incredible build quality. Incredible service. You might get hooked. I can't take credit if you do, but their stuff is nice. You will not regret it. And then FullVisApparel.com. Also use that code THN at checkout. Get 15% off your order. That is the exclusive coupon code for THN listeners and viewers like you. Hopefully we see everybody at Daytona. Stop by the table. Not going to be far from Billy Hunt. Should be good. I thought about putting my display stuff together to kind of get a feel for spacing and things. And
Yeah, you got to do it.
playing around with it a little bit. Maybe that's something I'll do this weekend. And then Cold-Blooded Caffeine. Link down below in the description. Get yourself some coffee. Snakes and Stogies blend. Any of the other blends, you won't be disappointed with those either. They're all delicious. And will energize you greatly. So we'll be back for, I think, THP this week. So there was going to be a King Snake show last week. I was doing a cigar podcast. Didn't realize that Pain Shab couldn't hit the record button to start. So like I'm doing this cigar podcast and I have him like calling me and I'm thinking they're just drunk and messing with me because they were like bored because he was like texting me in caps and stuff. And I'm like, man, he's hammered. Turns out he couldn't actually start the podcast and they were waiting on me and I didn't realize that. So there's a reason you don't have an awesome alternate episode of King Snake Chronicles and it's like 90% my fault. So, but I'll have to figure out when they're planning to reschedule that, because I was actually really looking forward to listening to that. Harry's probably still in the chat. He can point a finger at me too because he was there. But they were like genuinely concerned for my well-being because they were like, "We hope you're all right," because they were like messaging me on Messenger and texting me, and my phone was on silent. So
happens.
Whop.
We'll get it out.
We will. Thank you, everybody. We will see you later.
Bye.